it's about measuring, and it's for second grade. The standard is measure the length of objects, iterating a non-standard or standard unit, use different units to measure the same object and predict whether the measure will be greater or smaller when a different unit is used, and measure the length of an object to the nearest inch and or centimeter. So for the directions, basically I just give them an overview of the directions in the beginning. So I tell them that they're going to be working in groups, and that they're going to be using, I only had one worksheet, but it's just really just to track for one of the activities. And they're also going to use they would have, for example, like math journals, and that's what they would turn in. And I would have something like a tray, and they would just turn in their work when they're finished. And then also in the directions it says that if you need help, you have to ask 3 people before you come to the teacher. So you ask questions to either your other group members or maybe a group that's already done that activity. And then if they don't understand it and you don't understand it, then you come to ask the teacher. And then for activity number 1, it's going to involve the Unifix cubes. So basically I would give them a list of like 6 items, and they would track it on this. So they would use the Unifix cubes first to estimate how many they think it would take to measure whatever item or object I give them. So for example, if it's their foot, they would say, okay, my foot's going to be 10 of the Unifix cubes. And then they would try to figure out the actual, so they would just like, put them next to their feet. Mine are bigger than this, but they would use them to try to figure out how many Unifix cubes, and then they would record it down. So that's what this worksheet is for, just to record, estimate and then record how many the actual measurement was. And then for activity number 2, it's called My Body Measurements. So I put a picture here just as an explanation of the parts of measurements of their body that I want them or their partner to help them measure. And they would also use the Unifix cubes for that. So, for example, I put like, from my knee to my ankle, how many Unifix cubes does it take to get there? So they would just, either if they can't do it themselves, they would have their partner hold it, and they would just stand still and have their partner measure using the Unifix cubes to measure their body parts or whatever. So for example, I have from knee to ankle, from your elbow to your wrist, from the top of your middle finger to the bottom of your palm, and from your shoulder to your elbow, and from your neck to the top of your head. And they would use the Unifix cubes for that same activity. And that one would probably be in groups of probably 4 or 5 depending on the class size, but it probably takes 2 people just to do that one in case you need help to measure one of your body parts. And then for the third activity, I titled it Reaching for the Stars, because I would have butcher paper cutouts of, well, the examples that I chose were like Kobe Bryant, Lady Gaga, Tom Brady, or Hannah Montana, just to reach, the guys or the girls, whatever the choice they want. I would have different butcher paper cutouts. I didn't bring them because, for example, Kobe Bryant is like 6'6", so it'd be like I'd have a butcher paper cutout, and it would be on the wall next to a ruler of like a 7-foot classroom ruler. And each of the students is supposed to get their own sheet of butcher paper, and they lay it down on the floor and have one of their group members trace their body figure. And then they would take their body figure and go compare it next to the athlete or celebrity that they choose. And then after that, they would find the difference in inches between, so for example, if Kobe Bryant is 6'6", they would find the difference between their height and Kobe Bryant's height. And for the students who are already a little advanced and can do the whole foot and inches, they could do it like that. But if they can't, then the inches for example, for Kobe Bryant, I would give that to them. And then if they finish a little early, or they can always, I put that they can discuss what they thought, or if they think it's cool that they're kind of close to Kobe Bryant's height, or how far away they are, and who's taller, and all that stuff. They can always discuss that with their group. And then for activity number 4, it's called Can of Worms. The students are going to have like different cut up pieces of yarn. I call them worms, but they're going to be like in the can, different sizes. For example, one's going to be like this size, another one's going to be shorter, and all they have to do is use their ruler to find the length of the string. So they just pull out the string and measure each of the worms, and then they just write it down in their math journals. And then what they would do is try to make the same size worm using Play-Doh. So they would use their Play-Doh to like form that worm and make it the same as all the worms in the can. And then for activity number 5, I called it Humongous Measuring. And they would use the yarn, the string, whatever you have available, and you would use it, just give them like a little bit of yarn, and they would use it to measure something bigger. So for example, they would get the yarn, put it on the desk, and then cut it off, and then try to use a ruler to measure how long that is. So that's just mainly to get an idea of how you would measure something bigger using a different object. And then, like I said in the beginning, once they're finished, they can put their tracking sheet inside their math notebook, wherever they had their work, and just put the work in a tray or something like that. And then for the progress, I have cups on the board. Each of the cups is numbered by the activity. So for example, I would give each of the students, to begin with, I would give each of them 5 popsicle sticks with their name on it. Or they can write their name on it, it doesn't matter. And then once they finish each activity, once they go, they would, for example, let's say they started on activity number 2, they would go and just put 1 on that, and then once they finish number 3, they would go and put 1, and once they have it on all of them, then they're finished. That's it.